America, we've got trouble in our country, and that starts with a capital T and rhymes with P, and I don't know the rest of the song, but there are three different stories that all speak to the same core issue. First up, you know the story in Reno, Nevada, the angry vet that cut down the Mexican flag that was flying above the American one? I have him on with us in about 30 minutes in tonight's real story. But that story, in my head, is connected to the controversial civil libertarian Ron Paul and the story that he has raised as much money as mainstream Republican candidate John McCain. That's just a little less than pretty boy John Edwards. And lastly, that story is connected to Chattanooga, Tennessee. They are hosting a two-day secessionist convention, a meeting of state advocacy groups who want to peacefully break off from the United States and be independent. America, tonight. Here's the point. These are all just warning signs of civil unrest. If self-serving politicians keep pushing us to the outside edges of this country, the center can't hold. And here's how I got there. You might have thought that the idea of secession ended with civil war, but today's exclusionary political climate has revived it. Granted, it's not sweeping the nation by any stretch of the imagination, but 25 states, half of the country, all have active secessionist movements, and it's growing. Listen to this. The Tennessee Convention is dominated by two main groups. One is from Vermont, who feel that the American court system is, quote, too conservative. I mean, I don't know how many gallons of Ben and Jerry's you have to eat in the lefty mecca of Vermont to actually think that, but they do. The other group is a coalition of wildly conservative southern states who feel the country is headed for socialism. These two groups have absolutely nothing in common politically, but their mutual frustration with the boneheads in Washington. Political discontent makes for strange bedfellows. Tonight, here's what you need to know. United we stand, and divided we fall. Call me naive, but I thought our leaders were supposed to bring us all together and remind us that the whole of our country is greater than any sum of its parts. Sadly, the strategy of most American politicians today is to divide and conquer. We have to stop dwelling on what separates us and start celebrating what unites us. From many, one. E pluribus unum. This list is much longer. Of course, there's going to be strong differences. We don't agree on everything, but it's the diversity of ideas is what built this country into the greatest the world has ever known. We're supposed to melt back together. At the end of the day, we're all just people trying to live our lives, raise our families, just watch a stupid television show and just not blow our heads off. We're doing the best we can, even though there have been times when I just wanted to get a big saw and just slice off California from the left side of the continent and just float it towards Hawaii. I don't really want them or any other state to secede. I believe there is a noble moral center in this country, and we have to reconnect with it, and the sooner the better. Remember, when push comes to shove, Democrats and Republicans and independents, we are Americans first, last, and always. Michael Hill is the president of the League of the South, and Thomas Naylor is the head of the Second Vermont Republic. Let me start with you, Thomas. Your website says that you are opposed to the tyranny of the U.S. government and corporations, and you want to peacefully dissolve the union. Tell me about that.
Basically, our concerns are twofold. We feel that, first of all, that the U.S. government has lost its moral authority. Our government is corrupt to the core. It's owned, operated, and controlled by corporate America. Second, we feel that the United States as a nation state is basically unsustainable. By unsustainable, I mean economically, politically, militarily, culturally, socially, and of course, environmentally. We are ungovernable and therefore unfixable. And so the question is, do you go down with the Titanic, or do you seek other alternatives while there's still other options on the table? Are you guys, and Mike, let me throw this to you, are you guys taking words from Thomas Jefferson, or are you saying break up the whole thing? Are you saying the country needs to be reset, or are you saying dissolve it entirely?
Well, Glenn, I don't think we're talking about dissolving the important things here entirely. If you had each of the 50 states to secede tomorrow, all those states would still be here. all the people would be in them.
I'm asking
And
specifically, sir, about the Constitution. Are you saying dissolve everything down to the Constitution, or let the Constitution stand and just reset?
No, I think we need to dissolve the entire Union, because I think the Constitution is not being served by the present system. But what I was saying is, you could take the central government in Washington out of the equation tomorrow and have 50 separate states. Those states are still there. The people in those states are there, and the North American continent is here. The only thing missing is the imperial government in Washington.
Thomas,
and I think that would be a good thing.
You said that you were basically talking to yourself 4 years ago. Now your groups together have about 20,000 members, and you say that it is growing. You have this convention. You had one, I think, last year. Now you're having it again this year. Should we be afraid of you guys?
Oh, absolutely not. We're perfectly harmless, and in fact,
well, you're talking about dissolving our government. And I mean, don't get me wrong. There's part of me that says, oh yeah. There's another part of me that says, wait a minute, hang on. I really like the Constitution. I'd like to see it enacted. Let's fix it and get closer to where our founding fathers were.
Well, we certainly considered that option, but see, our view is that it really is not fixable. The problem is your typical liberal Democrat in this country thinks that all you have to do is elect the next liberal Democrat, and all of our problems are going to be solved. But the problem is, to be elected president of the United States today, you have to sell your soul to corporate America. You are owned by corporate America. So the idea that there will be some kind of campaign finance reform, we're going to fix it all, is utter fantasy. The system is beyond being fixed, because the people who control the government like the system exactly the way it is. They have no incentive whatsoever to change.
So have you guys always been the, hey, you know, America stinks and we got to dissolve it, or is this a new thing for you, or who are you, and who are your members?
Well, I've never thought America stinks, and there's a big difference between America and this corrupt government that's running this country today.
I know, but what you're saying is you want to, I understand that, but you're saying we should dissolve the United States of America. There is a difference, gang, between resetting our government, because I agree with you, our government has lost its founding principles. It is not being guided by the Constitution in many ways, but there's a huge difference between get back to our principles and dissolve the Constitution and end it. That's huge.
We don't think it's possible to we don't think it's possible to get back there, because what we've got now is an empire whose foreign policy is based on full spectrum dominance and imperial overstretch.
But
and
guys, you have to be smart enough to know that we tried a very weak central government, and that turned into chaos as well. Have you war gamed this out at all in your head, that if people would start jumping on your bandwagon, there would be great, overpowering civil unrest?
Well, that's not necessarily true. I think all of this could be done rather peacefully if the powers that be wanted it done peacefully. But let me address this from the Southern point of view. We have a Southern culture that's under assault today, and has been for a number of years, by the proponents of political correctness. We have been legislated for in the South by the likes of Teddy Kennedy, and Southerners are traditional conservatives, Christians. We've had abortion pushed down our throats. We've had gun control pushed down our throats.
Michael,
and if we had our own separate nation, it wouldn't be that way.
Look at the two of you. You can't agree with each other on what you just said. You just are in bed together.
But that doesn't matter.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
I'll tell you why. Glenn, I'll tell you why it doesn't matter. Because we are talking here about a process, the process of secession, which leads to liberty for Vermont, it leads to liberty for the South. Then we can sort out our own problems.
Guys, I appreciate
by our own worldviews.
I have to run. I thank you very much.